You're watching the Kop TV, the voice of football's most famous stand.
Salah to settle it in front of the Kop.
Good afternoon, Reds all around the world. Welcome back to the Kop TV, the voice of football's most famous stand. Massive game in the Carabao Cup. Wednesday night under the lights at Anfield, the second of our 3 home games in a row, Liverpool versus West Ham. To preview the game, you've seen him on the Saturday Football Show. You've seen him on the Kop TV as well, to be fair. We've got a man like Jamie in. Boise, how are we, fella?
Mate, after yesterday's result, I am buzzing, and I think it's the best time to play Liverpool. I'm buzzing.
Oh, straight away, you're going in like that.
Absolutely, mate.
Okay, then. Let's dissect the game. Before we get into that, smash that like button, comment with your lineup predictions, your score predictions. Is this Liverpool's best chance of a trophy? That's what he's just said off camera, by the way. He might be right or he might be wrong. We'll find out. And, of course, subscribe to the channel. Crucial time. Massive previews for the Arsenal game coming up and the fan cams with Robbie, the AFTV lads outside the stadium. So it's a good time to subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Poor result for us. Great result for West Ham yesterday. If I'm really honest, Jay, I saw the game, your game yesterday. 3 super high quality goals.
Yeah.
2 from Kudus, 1 from Bowen. Your main 2 men this season, haven't they?
3 assists from Paquetá as well.
And 3 assists. Yeah, how could I forget him? Whereas we had a very toothless result against United, which leads you to thinking maybe it is a good time to come to Anfield. But talk to me about West Ham, because even though it was a 3-0 win, it's so up and down, West Ham.
Absolutely,
so
mate.
What's going on?
We're a week removed from a 5-0 loss away at Fulham.
Yeah.
A few days before that,
Wow.
we beat Tottenham away. But we've had a strong week. We had a big game in Europe, won that, finished top of the group, and then we've
Fair
gone on to the Wolves, and they were in form. They're an informed Wolves side. We've got to say that, to be fair. And I think, yeah, it was just a professional performance. We're 7th in the Premier League now, going along nicely. And I think you look at Liverpool right now, like Liverpool are also a little bit inconsistent. And I think yesterday we saw some of the worries that people had at the start of the season, where you might be a little bit lacklustre in midfield. And I think we're still waiting for Liverpool to turn up, really.
I'd agree. I think second gear is probably the highest gear we've got to for so far this season.
Yeah.
Again, injuries have come at a really bad time for us, but I would agree it is probably after that result where you've watched United come and get a point and celebrate like they've won every single trophy in football. It is a decent time to come to Anfield, but now the pressure, you're kind of coming with almost nothing to lose, if that makes sense. But at the same time, the pressure is now massively ramped up on Liverpool. There has to be a reaction. There has to be a bounce back. We have to score goals in the next game. And don't forget, you know, even though this game is super important, and of course we want to win the Carabao Cup, we've got Arsenal there a few days later. So what message will the West Ham performance send to Arsenal? It's a domino effect this week, because United, we didn't pass the test, got to pass the West Ham test, and then that momentum should hopefully help us pass the Arsenal test.
Do you know what it is, though? When we played you in the league, like a few months ago, I think we lost 3-1 in the end. It was a really close game, but the real distinguishable difference between the two sides on the day is that you had players that can produce high-quality moments, and you still have that. But I think West Ham are now starting to come into their own as well, where they have these players that can also produce a magical moment. We've seen it with Paquetá numerous times, saw it with Kudus yesterday, and we've seen it with Bowen. He's got 10 goals in the league already.
Unreal numbers, man.
10 goals before Christmas for any player really is top quality. I'm not used to seeing that with a West Ham player. I'll say that for free. So I think it's a really good game. You know, you look at the new stand that you guys have had yesterday, the extra 8,000 fans, whether that's affected the atmosphere, because we saw it all over commentary yesterday, how it's one of the worst atmospheres Anfield has
If
ever
you were
seen.
there at Anfield yesterday, tell us if that's a truth or a falseness. Because I wasn't at the game yesterday, and obviously we were watching it with no sound. But if you were at the game, let us know. Was that a myth? Because I'm hearing the first 15 was unbelievable, but then I agree it could have probably been better, even though I wasn't there. So,
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, I wasn't at the game. I can only vouch for what was said by the commentary team numerous times, by Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville. So it's not as if it's a biased, you know, you've got both sides of the fence kind of thing. So, yeah, I mean, West Ham come off 2 big results, go to a Liverpool side that faltered and will want to bounce back in the Europa.
Does that scare you? Because what would you have rather had? We win 2 or 3-0 yesterday, and then I guess you'd be fairly unconfident going into this one. Or because we drew, you're now thinking, well, hang on, what Liverpool going to turn up here?
Well, do you know what, mate? Like I said off camera, I really think this is your strongest chance of silverware. You could go win more, don't get me wrong, but I think it's your strongest case to to win something this season. And I think Liverpool are going to want to win this game regardless. But at the same time, I also think it's a really strong chance for West Ham to win some silverware. You know, there's not many strong teams left
Chelsea
in the tournament.
and Newcastle and us two, basically, with all due respect to Middlesbrough and Port Vale.
Yeah, like, you know, you get through this round and I think any of those sides are really fancying their chances. You know what I mean? So you mentioned, obviously, Europa League off camera. And I think there's probably like 5-6 sides that could potentially win that. You know, you've got the Champions League dropout teams that have come down, teams like AC Milan, they're going to fancy their chances in that competition as well. So I think in the Carabao, you know, I think it's a strong chance for anyone that's still in it, really.
Yeah, let's get into the Liverpool team news. I don't think we're going to see McAllister rush back for this one. Obviously, Robertson's still out. Thiago, I'd love to see him play a little piece in this. We saw him and Robertson at the game yesterday. He'll obviously still be out. Jota still out, as we know. And the injuries are coming kind of thick and fast for Liverpool at the minute. Joel Matip, ACL, out for the season. So we're going to have to be at our very top. And I don't want, again, let me know what you think, but I don't want to come into this game with a kind of weak, quote-unquote, team, because this is almost a warm-up for the Arsenal game. Little turnaround time. Obviously, we're playing Wednesday and Saturday, but if you're a top team, you have the depth to be able to rotate. So as I said, all those guys will be out. Let's try and put together some kind of lineup prediction. I think he goes for Alisson. I think he picks Alisson, even though last year Kelleher was pretty much our guy in the cups.
Yeah.
I think he does go for Alisson because, again, as you said, silverware on the line potentially. Gomez or Trent. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to playing Trent solely in the midfield for this game and maybe put Gomez on the right. He's going to have a tough game against Kudos on that side. You've got Paqueta who drifts out to there as well. You've got Bowen who can kind of switch in between defenders quite easily as well. So Gomez will have a tough game. The centre-backs, I mean, Quansah obviously scored for his first goal for Liverpool in the Europa League on Thursday. Is there a chance that he plays? Obviously, Virgil and Konate are still kind of the main two, but I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for Quansah. And then at left-back, you have to play Tsimikas. In the midfield, though, I do think this is where the game's won and lost. I've been super impressed with Alvarez. Remember at the start of the season?
Yeah.
I said Alvarez would be up there. I mean, there's not really any signings that I can say have flopped at West Ham this season. Alvarez, unreal. Obviously, Kudus, unreal. I mean, you tell me, James Ward-Prowse, unreal so far. Well, Souček's born again. So our midfield, I think it will be Endo starting it. I think Harvey Elliott starts. I think Curtis Jones plays. Whether Szoboszlai gets a rest for the Arsenal game, I'm not too sure. But me personally, I would go Endo, Jones and Elliott. And then up front, again, fairly limited at the minute. I don't think it's the kind of game for a Ben Doak, so Mo Salah. I mean, how many games does this fella play? It's unbelievable, the numbers he's putting up per year. But Salah, and then it's a toss-up between Gakpo and Nunes in that out-and-out 9 position. And then Diaz. So it's essentially, I'm looking at this as almost a Premier League game against West Ham.
I think that's what we'll do. I really do. As I said, really strong chance for you guys to get some silverware. And I think West Ham are kind of blessed with having a relatively clean bill of health.
Antonio, the only injury.
Yeah, Antonio's the only injury.
Giving it all that on his podcast and he's out injured.
He's been, obviously we all know the job that Antonio does for West Ham, but his injury has almost been somewhat of a blessing in disguise because it's kind of sped up Moyes having to put Bowen through the middle, which is obviously, we've then seen Paqueta on the left and Bowen on the right, which is obviously, and they'll dovetail and they've obviously performed how they have. But, you know, just going back to the signings where obviously we said, you said about no one's flopped, you know, I think about the figures that we spent on these players. You know, we sold Declan Rice for 100 million
Great
plus.
business when you look at it.
We've gone and signed Paquetá and Alvarez for 75. It almost feels like daylight robbery.
Yeah.
And I you know, I was always optimistic going into the season, but I didn't see us almost being a better team than what we were last year. But we're much more well-rounded. We have a better midfield. Like, you know, he's bolstered that midfield with James Ward-Prowse, who's picking up with goals, picking up with assists. And, you know, you just described the midfield that you would be lining up with Liverpool. I know I would choose my midfield, you know, 7 days a week and twice on Sunday. Absolutely. I'll go Alvarez, James Ward-Prowse and Souček. And, you know, the
Great
thought
balance there, isn't there?
The thought of you putting Trent in that, I don't know how he would cope with that kind of physicality. I just think he's such a mercurial, incredibly talented player. I just don't think he could cope with that personally.
Yeah. Well, let's go into the West Ham lineup. You reckon it's going to be a Premier League-ish team? Is there going to be any maybe weak points that maybe we can look at and exploit?
Really depends on how he chooses to line up the back line. I imagine it'll be Soufal and Emerson, of course. And then he tends to rotate Aged, Mavropanos and Zuma. He rested Zuma in the week last week, and brought him back on the weekend. Obviously had a good performance. So it'll be one of those two of those three. The midfield, I imagine, will remain largely unchanged because, who else is there really to bring in that's
Flynn
of that level? He's on loan at Southampton. Yeah, he's on loan.
Who else could you put in the midfield? I'm not...
Fornals maybe. You could maybe bring Paquetá back and then put Ben Rama on the left wing. But we're not blessed with loads of cover there. We've got more cover at the back, players like Thilo Kehrer and Ben Johnson and whatnot. But I imagine it'll be Emerson, Soufal, probably Fabianski in goal, one of Zuma, Mavropanos and Aged, probably partnering in some sort of partnership. The midfield I'll be as we said, and then I imagine the left wing will probably be Paquetá. I don't particularly like him there, but I think he's more effective than what Ben Rama can do there right now. And then in the middle, probably Bowen, right-hand side, Kudus.
It's a good team.
It is a good
when
team.
When you look at that on paper, it's a good team. It's a European team. If I'm honest with you, that again, most of those players did win a European Cup for West Ham in the summer.
Yeah.
I mean, let us know what you think to that West Ham lineup. I mean, again, full strength teams are pretty much going to go for this one at full tilt. And again, as you said, depending on what happens in the Chelsea-Newcastle game, you've got a nice run to the
Newcastle
final.
Are going to be bang up for it after losing.
Newcastle have to win that game really after what happened to them last time. Under the lights at Anfield, it's going to be a good one. Let's get into our score predictions. I mean, if we have 35 shots and don't score again, I genuinely don't know what I'm going to do. You go first as the away team. What do you reckon? Who goes through?
I think going away to Anfield and expecting a win is always going to be difficult. But
someone's got to win, mate.
Yeah, someone's got to win on the evening.
Do
you know what? I'm going to go with the 2-1 away win for West Ham. I've got to back the boys.
Yeah, that's kind of gone over my head, the fact that this can go into extra time, which would be the worst for Liverpool, knowing that we've got that Arsenal game at 5:30 on Saturday.
We have Man United on the weekend as well.
Arsenal don't play as well during this week, so they would have been playing if they beat you in the last round, and then we would have had them in both cups.
And what happened there?
Got slumped. Let me go for... Is this the game Núñez finally scores? Scored a couple against West Ham earlier in his career for Liverpool so far. Is it the game that Salah turns it on? That defence, apart from the Fulham game, which leaked 5. This is the thing about West Ham. How can you lose 5-0 away to Fulham and then turn it around like you have? It's just silliness. So I
think we had a bug in the camp. That's what was being reverberated, but
sure. Hopefully them chefs are staying well away from Anfield. Right, let me go 3-2 Liverpool.
Okay.
Is that all right with you? Would you? No?
I think the game's on a tilt edge. I really think it could go either way. So I think
goals in this one.
We both said narrow wins for our team.
Both said narrow wins. Again, let us know what you think, though, in the comments and who goes on to win the Carabao Cup. Don't forget, Arsenal on Saturday, potentially the biggest game of the season. Jamie, it's been great to have you on, as always, brother.
Top man.
Saturday Football Show favourite. He's on DR Sports. He's on Copper 90. What else are you on?
My own socials.
Your own social. Jamie.talks.
That's it, yeah. But they're the two mains, I'd say.
Love to see it. Right, listen, smash that like button. How confident are you that Liverpool can get a result against the Irons? I think we play you away in April, so always a tough game, West Ham, never an easy one. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be at the game. Of course, we'll have fan cams from outside after. Merry Christmas, people. It should be an absolute mad week, whatever happens if you support Liverpool. So make sure you're locked in. Like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you after the game on Wednesday. Take care.
There we go.
Thanks for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it.
Please, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the Kop TV.
The voice of football's most famous stand.